Hey everyone, welcome to the Not a Lonely Coffee Break podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Meaghan. We're a podcast about coffee and work, but make it queer.
Always make it queer. So, Meaghan,
Mhm.
speaking of queer, are you aware that we are nearing an important milestone as a show?
My goodness. Maybe.
We are nearing our 1 year anniversary of being on air as an official podcast.
Yay, we made it.
I
We
know.
made it. Who would have thunk our relationship was so strong that we could
I
make an
know.
entire year?
Who would have thought we would have this much stuff to talk about?
I know.
That we've made it. And we have lots more.
Yes, buckle in. Buckle in. It's going to keep on coming.
So, in honor of our how can we say it? Podcast-iversary. And
Podcast
podcast-iversary.
You got to knock out the T. Podcast anniversary.
Yeah. We want to invite all of you guys to a little special happy hour event on Wednesday, June 25th.
Party.
I know, party. So we want everyone to come hang out with us, of course, after you get off work. Grab yourself a cute little drink and come out to JR's in Dallas, where you can help us celebrate and just visit with us, get to know us in person.
Yeah, we'd love to meet all our friends, meet some of our other normal friends, but then let's create some more friends. We'll have some goodies. We won't have an open bar. Y'all settle down. No open bar, okay? But we will have some goodies for y'all, and we'll be excited to see you there.
We'll be posting more information on our social media, so that way you can save the information. But Wednesday, June 25th, starting at 6 p.m., you can come out to JR's in Dallas and catch Meaghan and I. Join us for a drink and help us celebrate this awesome milestone that we just are super excited that we have achieved.
Podcast anniversary.
I'm really looking forward to today's show because we have a really fun couple joining us.
I'm so excited. We met this couple at the Resource Center. It was like at our very first event.
Yeah.
We were like bones bare, and we were like, we're gonna do this podcast. We met DR, who owns Common Ground Games with their spouse, Jamison. And what they do, they have the gaming store. It's queer owned, it's inclusive. And I was just like, just their little conversation they had with us, or what he had with us, is I was bought. And so finally, I'm so excited to have them on today.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. When we met DR at the Resource Center, I knew that at some point he had to be a guest on the show. So I'm so excited that everything sort of lined up and we were able to get both him and Jamison. So join us in welcoming this awesome, fantastic couple, DR and Jamison. Woo!
Hey.
Well, welcome you guys. We are so excited to have you join us.
I've been a fan of y'all for a while, so thank you for the opportunity.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. When we met at Resource Center, I loved the idea of like creating a place for business people to take a break and talk about what that looks like. And when we chatted, I was just like, oh, this is great for queer people. Like, let's create that environment. Let's create a space where business people and workers who identify in the queer community just can not be lonely and get away from work. I'm all about work-life balance. So
yes,
very much love what y'all are doing. So thank you for the opportunity and the invitation.
Well, awesome. I love that. So, let's dive in, and can you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves and your business for any of our listeners who maybe aren't familiar with you?
Absolutely. Jamison, do you want to start?
Sure. My name is Jamison Sachs, and I'm the co-owner of Common Ground Games in Dallas, Texas, with my lovely husband, DR. We started the business 12 years ago now. We just had our 12th anniversary. I basically was working in corporate America and kind of had a midlife crisis and decided I did not need to be doing this anymore for people who did not appreciate me, and came home in a mad tizzy one day, basically being like, I know what I want to do. Can we do this? And after he calmed me down, he was like, yeah, let's do this. And 6 months later, the store was open.
Wow.
That's awesome. You were just like, rip the band-aid. Let's just do
Pretty
it.
much, yeah. My name is Dr. Hanson. I am the co-owner of Common Ground Games with my lovely and handsome husband, Jamison Sachs. I'm also the founder of Cinewild. It's Texas's only monthly LGBTQ film series, and I do a bunch of community organizing in the queer community here in Dallas. And yeah, when Jamison came home, just completely just at his wit's end. We actually moved from New York to Dallas for his job, and it was an exciting opportunity for him. But within 6 months, the job changed drastically. And the boss that he had moved down there to kind of like learn from and be mentored by was no longer working there. So it was literally like the rug pulled out from under him. He was not happy. He was now managing a call center, which is not his dream
No.
at all.
Not in any way.
The serendipity of our origin is really special and beautiful. And I don't know if you want me to continue, Jay, or if you want to step in now and take over.
What do you mean?
Well, the idea that Richard had moved.
Yeah.
Zeus Toys and Comics is a queer-owned comic book and toy store that has been in Dallas for over 20 years. Jamison worked there many moons ago, and they had moved to a new location that gave him a lot more retail space than he had in a long time, and he was considering offering board games. Most places in the country will sell board games and comic books. It was rare. It's becoming more commonplace now, but it was rare to have just a comic book store or just a board game store. So it was interesting that Zeus was able to be a comic book store for so long without even dipping into the board games. But now with this extra space, he was looking at providing board games to his customers. And he talked to Jamison one night about what that would look like, because he knew Jamison and I were board game fans.
And it basically boiled down to, like, I always joke that unless it had a controller, he really didn't know anything about games. He was a video game guy, you know? And so he didn't like the idea of doing board games. And so we started talking about, like, oh, what if we do it in the store? And then it just kind of, as DR and I were putting together the financing, it became obvious we were going to be able to do this. And we just opened up next to him. And so we had like a built-in audience already of people coming to this comic book store that's been around actually for, how old am I? So 20, I think like 26 years now. Then back then it wasn't even quite 20 years, but they had a huge audience in Dallas. And there were people still going in there who knew me from when I worked there. And so we managed to get everything put together and opened up on what is called Free Comic Book Day. And so we had a line of people waiting to get into his store in front of our store on the first day. And so many of them were like, there's a game store here now, because you pretty much have to drive to the suburbs. It was a minimum of 35 minutes if there was no traffic to get to a game store from where we were.
That adds to the serendipity. At the time, there was no board game store in Dallas. If you lived in Oak Cliff, if you lived in Highland Park, if you lived in Dallas, you had to drive 30 plus minutes to go to a board game store. The old adage of location, 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 mixed with a great inspired name next to a complimentary, not competing store on a day where there was going to be constant traffic. Again, just like it was very, very, very lucky. And it was intentional too. I'm not saying it was just luck. It was luck and location and intention and inspired ideas. I mean, Jamison came up with the name Common Ground Games, and I was really upset because I love naming things. And when he came up with it, I was like, I have no notes. I can't.
I guess this is fine.
This is it. And it's beautiful. And it served us so well.
And that, like, honestly, that was one of the hardest things. We went through like a list of names, and like we were like farther along into a lot of the other planning and still trying to figure out a name before, because we had to register the business and everything. And then like I just suddenly like had that idea, and it was just one of those moments where you're like, this is literally what we want the store to be for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and
I see.
so it just hit the right mark.
I love that.
When we moved back from New York to Dallas and we would go to game stores, I always felt like we were doing them a favor by being there. I always felt like I had to like go up to the space and be like, hello, am I bothering you? Like they weren't welcoming in my opinion. And that's not shade. It's just how I felt. So that inspired the name Common Ground Games, the idea that we would create a safe and brave space for anyone, regardless of where they are in their gaming journey, to be able to find what they're looking for, support, guidance. It can be very daunting to go into a space like this, especially if you're not familiar with it. And we wanted to just remove as many barriers as possible for people to enjoy a board game, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, I'm seriously gonna have to go down there because there have been plenty of times that I've been like trying to muster the bravery to just go to like those like D&D one night things and stuff like that. But it is so intimidating because I know how serious it gets. And I'm like, hey, never mind.
No, we have, like, you would enjoy yourself so much. We have such great DMs and such welcoming people and things like that, and these people love the games, and they're not trying to intimidate anybody. It's about sharing their love of this game, and so it's been really great. Like, our D&D community is great, and it's huge, and D&D 5th edition happened to come out the year we opened, and one of the guys was like, hey, I really want to do D&D again. Can I run it here? And we were like, yeah, it hadn't been happening. And that first night, so many people showed up that somebody else jumped in to DM so that we could have 2 different tables running. And it's just been like that the entire time we've been open. We have multiple games going every week. And so it's a really cool thing to see. Pretty much all of our communities kind of built up around like people saying, hey, we want to do this, and me being like, cool, let's do it, let's figure this out, and just helping it grow and keeping it within certain boundaries that we adhere to in our store that some people may not always get, but eventually they do.
Right.
So that brings me to my next question, which you've touched on, but how do you guys, especially hearing some of your background and knowing what you don't want your business to be, how do you go about intentionally creating this safe space that's welcoming, open to whoever, and kind of build that into your business practice?
A lot of it is very much being very intentional and being very open about that. You will find, I sometimes call it gay propaganda because we have, different dice and stickers and things like that. So when you come in, you see,
Oh my
you see these
God,
products.
not the gay agenda.
Yeah, exactly. But you see these products, and it's a good indicator. Oh, these people carry these things, and it's right up front. It's right out there. It's not hidden away anywhere. They clearly do that. And as you start to talk to people, you can find out that, like, for the longest time when we first opened, and there's certain behaviors that a lot of people, they go into game stores and they think they can act a certain way, and I just didn't tolerate it. And like one of the things I used to get on some of the younger people all the time was like, they'd be like, oh, that's so gay. I would start questioning them about how like a board game has sexuality, and like get them to realize that you're using gay as a pejorative, and that's not cool to somebody who is gay. Like, and
Right.
and so it's just a lot of that. And then the people start talking to each other and they find out. And like, we have a lot of trans customers who other trans people were telling them that, like, yeah, nobody bothers us here. Everybody treats us. They use your proper pronouns and things like that. And they find out, like, one of the most heartbreaking things to me ever was I was filling the vending machine years ago. And this woman walks up to me and she's like, is it okay if I use the bathroom? And I was like, yeah, I don't think there's anybody in there. And she's like, oh, I just want to make sure because at some places they don't let me use that one. And I was so confused. And then I realized what she was saying. And I was like, oh, darling, don't worry about that. If anybody here ever gives you trouble, you need to let me know because that's not acceptable. And like, she was like, kind of had tears in her eyes because she had never felt that at a game store before.
It's been fascinating to just see how, and I don't think Jamison might feel differently, but I don't think we don't have particular meetings about creating safe and brave spaces for queer people. It just happened organically because of who we are. Jamison and I being the owners here, and our first employee who became our manager is a queer woman. So it just happened organically, and then we started to be intentional about it, but not evangelical about it. Just when it would come up naturally, we would use curiosity, like Jamison did with asking somebody a question. How does a board game have a sexuality? How does color or clothing have a gender? Asking those type of questions, staying curious, and just doing that unabashedly has now taught our audience and our customers how to do that. Oftentimes, when someone is misgendered in our store, the people that are correcting the people misgendering are not staff. It's our customer base because they know. We're very, very lucky. I say this every year when we have our anniversary, that it takes a leap of faith to start anything, a business, a nonprofit, anything, a podcast. It takes a leap of faith to do it. And what we didn't know is that when we took that leap of faith together, that there would be a community that would catch us and rally around us and support us year after year after year. We can't do what we do without our community. I've always thought of us as a community space first, then a retail space. I think Jamison thinks differently, and that's great. That's what makes us a really good team in and out of business, is
You have
how
to
we
have
see the
both.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a really good balance. That's awesome. So you mentioned that you do some activism within this area. Like, what stuff have you guys been into or like been working on recently?
So for me as a community organizer, I've kind of brought back National Coming Out Day to Sue Ellen's. We've been doing that 3 years with Resource Center, and I've been intentional about creating a World AIDS Day, engaging multiple communities every year to bring that back. So these type of things that exist on a calendar, I'm trying to bring them back to the queer community here in Dallas and give us that space. And that type of activism has just been, it's a part of who I am now. And so even at the store, we do things. We've got a gay gamer night the second Saturday of every month. Two queer organizations, DFW Gamers and Disco, bring their communities here the second Saturday of every month to play games in our space. And what we do here too, the staff is getting on board with. We've got one of our supervisors, Joseph, who's getting really into cultivating what the gamer night looks like and creating more opportunities for local vendors and nonprofits to come out and share their stories with the gay gamer groups. So we really try to empower our staff too, to find out what works for them. I mean, we try to use our privilege and our experience to help organizations and groups and people in Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, it all plays a role too, because I mean, if you're providing a workplace where everybody feels like they can participate, it just creates a better energy.
100%.
And your customers feel it,
Yes.
and you feel it, and you're just like, if you could just keep that snowball rolling and just show that, you're supporting the community, you're doing the work, and you guys are all having fun. That's just, I mean, I'm like, you guys have an opening?
Not right now.
It is.
We just filled a spot, but you never know, like we're
clearly doing something right with our employees, because like I hear so many
Right.
businesses talk about, oh, we're hiring and we get so few applications and stuff. When we put out that we're hiring, after like 70 applications in like 2 days, we have to turn it off. Like we can't, they can't go through it all in that, and so like, it's insane when I hear other places talking about like, oh, nobody wants to work here. And I'm like, I'm beginning to think that's a you problem. Like,
yes, it is. It is.
Yeah.
This adage that no one wants to work is not, it's not true at all. It's a lie being perpetrated by people who don't know how to manage human beings. People just don't, they're tired of the way corporate America has evolved to the state that we're in right now, and people are realizing that they don't have to bow to that. And I agree with it wholeheartedly. Like, it's not that people don't want to work, they don't want to work for you. So what are you going to do about it? You have an opportunity now to change your policies, your procedures, your mission, vision, values. If you're not doing that work, then no one's going to apply for that job, and people are going to leave.
Right. Well, and people can see the culture that you create as leaders, as a business. Sounds like even just by walking into your store.
Yes.
So they're like, this is a community that I could also be a part of, as an employee, because there's a shared respect, there's a mutual passion there. And so, yeah, I think it reflects.
That's the hope, Maddie. We are two business owners talking about this and talking about how our employees feel. So I hope, my hope is that
you hope that your employees feel that way.
Absolutely.
5 of our current employees, including the store manager, our events manager, even, all were customers, like people who came into the store regularly and then found out about a job there and were like, yeah, I want to do this.
Well, that's cool. That's I'm jealous, to be honest, because you don't really find a lot of workspaces like that. And then secondly, I mean, I feel like in a world where we're so focused on surviving, just making ends meet and stuff like that, I personally have a hard time finding joy, like just trying to be like, I just need something to do that is just fun.
Yeah.
Like I need something, like I don't want to just scroll for a couple hours, like give me, like I need something. And so it really seems like y'all provide that for the community, and just like, hey, just open doors, come on in, learn something new.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm like,
Meaghan, come on down.
I know.
Whenever our store is open, when those doors are open, we have gameplay tables that are available to the public for free to play a game. Now, if we have events, we might not be able to accommodate you, but that gameplay space was designed for the public. And when our doors are open, it's available. We have a giant demo wall where people can play games for free, or you can bring your own games.
I mean, that was one of the things, like, when we were first opening this, like, a lot of people were like, a board game store? Like, why aren't you doing video games? And it's like, one, as much as I love video games, we also played board games a lot and had a nice community around there. But it was also this, I was already seeing the trend of video games have become very insular unless you're playing the shooty games. And, people wanted to be sitting around at a table with their friends and just joking around and playing games and stuff like that. And then for a lot of people, like, years of growing up and everything, like, half the friends I had were people I met at game stores. And it's been really cool over the years to see these groups of friends and everything, people who met at the store and things like that. And even people who met their partners at our store and are now married and things like that. It's really cool.
Yeah, that is super cool. And then plus with, like, I feel, and just throwing this out there, but the video game community or the video games coming out, like, a lot of people feel like there are a lot of cookie cutter things. So, like, with board games, there's just so much creativity that's put into it.
Absolutely.
You can, like you said, like, just putting your identity into the characters that you're playing these games with, like, fulfills that need that we're just trying to, like, expose, just to put ourselves out there and to express ourselves.
Yeah.
Jamison does a great job with the ordering. He's got his finger to the pulse of what's happening in the industry right now. So we often hear too that, oh, I've been looking for this game and they can't find it in other places. So there's a lot of points of pride with owning this business and being a part of this business and hearing people say those type of things. Because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to serve a community and do that the best way we can.
That's awesome. So Pride Month is coming up. Do y'all have anything going on?
The Gamers Night in June, we usually try and do something special. And I think they actually even do like an extra one during Pride. I don't think currently, I know there is a specific Magic the Gathering event that has some cool promos that go with that, because Wizards of the Coast specifically, they always do something for Pride. We are making a new button I have coming in for the store that's our logo with the Pride flag on it.
Awesome.
Across it. You'll see that on some of our social media and stuff like that. And so we decided to make a button this year.
That's a good question, Meaghan. I'm going to say that we don't do much, and that's probably just because I believe in queer fatigue, especially around June. And with so many of my with Cinewild and with community organization, and for a while there I was working on and doing some other nonprofit work with other queer organizations, I just got really overwhelmed and I started to kind of like not look forward to June. But at the same time though, like I feel like it's Pride every day here at Common Ground Games. It's kind of a
awesome.
Silly answer. More than half our staff is queer, and we just see it so many times with the people that come through our doors that they're just happy to be here in a place where they can feel comfortable to play a game, regardless of how they identify. The staff has been asking for a pride flag to hang in the store, and I finally framed, I call it the, queer revolution flag. It's the one with the fist in it that has the different colors of the hands. That's my favorite queer flag. And I took one that we've had out in front of our house for a couple of years. I've taken it to Austin when we did some LGBT chamber advocacy days. I've taken it to protests here all over Dallas, and we framed that so it's kind of a little weathered and like faded. And I like the idea that we're going to be hanging a flag that is like been weathered, that we're here. The idea of like Americana also includes queer history and queer experiences and queer stories. So I'm going to have that up for Pride and forever. So that's something we're doing a little differently for that. And I think it's going to be good, just that it'll be one of the first things that you see when you walk in the door. So we're trying to be more intentional about being very clear of who we are for people that walk through here, so we don't have to do more education than we need to, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially right now, like, and we're all just looking for a
especially
space
right now,
to get in and to walk in the door and not even have to like worry about it. Just feel like, okay.
Well, I know for me, just as a queer person, I know that I do look to see, do they have a pride flag somewhere? Do they have merchandise that is, gay? Because that is kind of a way of me trying to find out, okay, are they inclusive? Are they
100%.
welcoming? Sometimes it's corporatized, but other times, especially if it's a smaller shop like you guys, I'm gonna be like, this is definitely a shop I want to continue to support because they support the community, or they're part of the community, or they deserve to be supported. So
Couple
I think
years.
it's important to make sure it's on display.
Agreed, Maddie. I'm right there with you. I've heard some people talk about like how we shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff because it's politics, not business. And during the George Floyd riots, we wrote a little thing about how we respond to police brutality and how that's been a big part of our story as queer people. And in there, we wrote that, some people are going to not be happy that we're doing this. They're going to say that business should be business and not politics. And our response is, we don't want to be political. It's the right. It's the Republicans that are making our existence political. I don't want to have to tell you that I can have the right to marry a man. I don't have to tell you that. You are making it the issue. You're making it political. Nobody wants to be political. We're just trying to live our lives. So who's making it political? The people that are saying that we can't live our lives.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, being queer in this country right now is political, regardless of how you want to cut it. Now, if you want to live in your life in your home, that's your choice, no judgment there. But I believe as queer people, as any marginalized group, honestly, in this country, if you are living out and proud, you are being political, and there's nothing you can do about that. And I think we need to reframe that, because I think people get really uncomfortable when you talk about politics. And unfortunately, politics has become a life or death situation in this country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry for that.
Maddie, to your point too, I grew up working in comic and game stores and that sort of thing. And even being in those and going to other people's game stores, I have to explain this to a lot of my peers who tend to skew white and older male, and that sort of thing, that they're like, oh, well, our store welcomes everybody. We know. And I'm like, but are you telling them that? And they're like, well, you don't need to announce that if it is for everybody. And I'm like, that is not true. I'm like, I'm telling you as a gay man, I used to walk into places and I always had to wonder, if somebody said something to me and I tried to defend myself, would the store back me up?
Yeah.
Would they actually defend me if something happened, and that sort of thing? If somebody's being vile, are they going to do anything? And you have to live with a certain fear all the time that as a straight white male, you're never going to understand. Whereas if you have this thing on your door that, the safe space thing, or, everybody's welcome here and that sort of thing with a little pride sticker, you're telling them that, hey, you are going to stick up for them. And it's not, some of these other things are not okay. And you are kind of telling some of the bigots that, they're putting them on notice right away. And it's always interesting to me how they fight back against this idea, because they've literally never had to deal with it.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm sitting there being like, I get it. I know I look like a straight white guy, but I'm telling you I'm not. And I'm telling you this is the experience that most gay people have to deal with. Yeah.
Well, I also think that is a great example too of how, even though you are part of a marginalized community, you're still showing up for other communities that you're not a part of and being an ally to them by saying, we truly want to make sure everyone feels welcome in our space by doing these things.
We all have privilege in some
Yeah.
situation. Every one of us has privilege, and how you use that is a good indicator of who you are as a human being, in my belief.
Yeah.
And so how do you do that? Especially when you're around people that look like you, what are you doing to advocate for the people that you care about? Now, if you don't care about Black people or queer people, that's on you. Then you're going to just ignore me anyways when we're talking about this. But anyone that is at all conscious about what's happening in this country right now, we need to remember that we have privilege in certain situations, and how do you use that is up to you, and you get to make that decision.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
Good tidbit.
Yeah, I've honestly really loved this conversation. I am just so glad that you guys answered my email.
I'm so glad you reached out. This has been on my my hope list. It's been on my manifestation 2025.
And DR, I know we've gone a little bit over, but I was not familiar with the Cinewild. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Absolutely, yeah. It's Texas's only monthly LGBTQ film series. We've been around for 11 years. We screen a queer film once a month at the Texas Theater. And what's important to me when we started this is that we choose a film where someone on the cast or crew identifies LGBTQ. I want a reason why we screen a film is because somebody who worked on that film, someone who made that film, identifies LGBTQ. So if you tell me that the best boy in some film was queer, I'm going to show that film even if it's not about any queer stories. So we believe in education, entertainment, and engagement. So we have a pre-show conversation with a local queer artist, activist, organization that somehow complements the film. Then we watch the film, and then afterward, there's usually some type of engagement event that tries to take a theme from the movie and apply it into our real lives.
Awesome. How can people find out how to be a part of the screenings that you do?
The best thing is to follow us on Facebook or Instagram, Cinewild Dallas. That's the best thing that we can do right now. I'm in the process of making it a nonprofit. For 11 years, we've just been all volunteer. It's been me for a lot of it, with some amazing people that have come through and helped me out.
How can we, I guess, Jamison, do you want to tell us how we can get connected with Common Grounds Games?
So we are on all the social media, except for X. We are Facebook, Instagram.
Intentionally.
Yes. In Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky. We have a website. We have a Discord that is very active.
I would say the Discord would be the best place for anyone to start. Meaghan, you can go there and start getting your fingers caught into the DMs and D&D. We've got a great community.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
cool.
And so like you can find all that stuff on it. You can see all the different events and things on our Facebook or on our webpage that are coming up and everything. So there's a lot of different ways to get into that. And follow us on Instagram and TikTok. We have a great social media manager. We've got fun videos happening all the time now, and you get to see a good slice of our life at the store.
We have to end with the classic, like, what is your go-to fun beverage?
So keeping in line with the theme of your wonderful podcast, I like a dirty chai. I like a chai tea with a shot of espresso, or just black coffee as is, kind of like a psychopath drink.
Classic. Got it.
And that's in the morning. And then in the evening, I'll switch to some type of non-caffeinated tea.
Yeah.
Smart.
Same way.
I'm a basic white dude. I drink water and like Diet Coke. Like I call tea dirty leaf water.
He's not a coffee drinker at all. You do like root beer.
I do like root beer. I do love me some root beer.
Root beer's good.
Yeah. That's how kinky my husband gets. Root beer.
Root beer.
I will
slow down, everyone. He's got a root beer in his hand. All right.
The wild
the party
animal
started. Yep. Now I know. I'll know next time. Hopefully we all get to meet up in person. And,
that would be awesome.
And
if y'all want to come to the store, we would be happy to show you around.
Please, we'd love that.
Yes.
No, absolutely. I actually am going to be thinking about when can I venture out that way and probably buy a game that I don't need.
Yeah, we hear that a lot, actually.
Okay.
I love that.
Well, thanks y'all
thank
so
you
much.
guys.
Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, Meaghan, for this. Keep up the great work. I'm excited to continue to watch your podcast.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Meaghan. That conversation was so much fun.
I know.
And I am like ready to go to their shop.
I'm
and
sold.
Just chill with them in person.
Second Saturday, got it. Need to, because I know we've talked a lot about it on this show, but just needing to find something just enjoyable in life, and they definitely have it. So I need their energy.
I think what I really love too is just like the fact that they've built, and DR said this, right? It's a community, but it's also a business. But it seems like to them they really prioritize that community part of it and making sure that people have that place to go. And I love that. And I think that's so needed.
Yeah, it really reminds me, because Fool's Kava House kind of has that vibe where people can just kind of come in and find a community, and they really seem like they have that there, that you could just go alone and find some friends. And I think, for those of us that are still trying to like find our community, that is probably the best place to start. So I was so happy to have them on.
I know. And I also kind of, they didn't say this, but I got the vibe that like you don't have to be a hardcore gamer to be a part of their community. Like you could even just be like, I just want to like dip my toes into this community, or I'm just looking for people.
Right.
And that the community is so like supportive and welcoming that they're just like, yeah, sure, join us.
Because some of the gamers out there are so freaking serious, and I'm just like, I'm sorry. It's like going to a poker. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to Vegas, and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna sit here and hopefully they don't kick me out.
Oh my gosh, we went to Vegas together.
Oh yeah, we did go to Vegas. I completely
We went to
forgot about
Vegas
that.
together, and y'all, we literally, so Meaghan was like playing a cute little game, and literally there was a woman sitting at the table with her, and I'm pretty sure in like 10 minutes, I saw her spend $300. And I was like, no, absolutely
And she
not.
kept like trying to talk to us, and the dealer was just like, no, no, just go find a different table. It was scary. I think that was the one time I gambled that whole trip. That trip was
But
stressful.
you did not spend that much money. That woman though, like in a short amount of time, spent a lot of
Yeah.
money, and I
I
was
was
like,
like,
nope.
here's my $10.
I was like, I'll just have my little sip of my drink
Yes. Maybe we should go back to Vegas. Okay. That's a sign.
under better circumstances.
Under better circumstances.
Yeah.
We'll have a couple's trip.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do it.
Okay. Well,
Maybe low-key we become best friends with DR and Jamison,
and we could
and they
just
could go with
all
that.
honestly, like I'm
We
feeling
need their energy.
I will go to your events. We can be friends. I feel it. Yep. I'm excited.
Oh my gosh. Yes, such a fun episode, but I am out of my drink.
Coffee.
I'm having hot tea today, but I am out.
Okay.
That's our
Traitor.
cue to wrap up.
It is. Well,
But thanks everyone for listening.
stay tuned.
I hope that you will be marking your calendars for our um podcast anniversary
Mm-hmm.
on June 25th. And we also hope that you are connected with us on all of the socials: Instagram, LinkedIn, Threads, or Patreon. And of course, we hope that you're following the show. You can check us out on YouTube or Spotify.
Yeah, and don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, make sure you turn on your notifications for our episodes so you don't miss one. And maybe if this is your first time listening to us, go back, check out a few, see what you like, leave us comments. We want to hear from you. We also have an email, notalonelycoffeebreak@gmail.com. So we want to hear from you. Tell us your stories. If you want to share something, we'll keep you anonymous. If you want to just say something funny, we'll take it.
Thank you for joining us for another great episode of Not a Lonely Coffee Break. Again, we are your hosts. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Meaghan. Until next time.
Cheers, queer.